today we're going to renovate a grapevine. And you may have experienced this in your own travels through grape world. And you've come up on a vine that's been neglected over a number of years, either at your house or a relative's house. And you've been tasked with renovating this grapevine. So if you look at this grapevine here today, you can see it looks like pretty much a miniature jungle. And what we want to do today is renovate this, get the proverbial dead wood out, and make this vine more productive in years to come. So that's what we'll start with, just removing a lot of the old wood and forming it back to our high wire trellis. Well, let's talk about tools before we get started. The tools that we're going to be using are hand pruners, and I like a bypass pruner where the cutting blade goes past the cutting anvil, just like that. And there's another version of the same tool, but if you notice with this tool, it's not straight, it's somewhat bent, and that helps your hand when you go to prune to relieve some of the symptoms of strain on the wrist that might lead to carpal tunnel syndrome. So two of the options that are available to you. The other tool we'll be using quite a bit on this older jumbled up grapevine, it's a pair of loppers for cuts larger than from about an inch to about 2 inches in diameter. And finally, the last tool we might want to use, if I can find it, is a saw. This is a portable pocket saw that can fold out and make some large cuts for you when they're needed. So let's just start in removing some of the old wood and see where we end up. And we'll be able to use some of the older wood here as support or trunk. You can see the peeling bark, it's more than 2 years old, that supports the 1-year-old wood that is slick and tight. And we'll use this as our fruiting cane that will eventually become an arm. On a normal grapevine, you're still going to remove 80 to 95% of the annual growth. So that's not unusual in and of itself. We've done some chopping, quite a bit of heavy chopping, and a lot of this wood that's on the ground around me is actually dead wood. By looking at this pile of cuttings, you can see that we removed quite a bit of wood, but you'll notice a lot of this wood was already dead, and you can tell it was dead simply by looking at the gray color, and then of course it's brittle and dry. But the healthy wood that will be productive is this slick bark with a bright brown color. On this vine here, we've actually had to go back to 1-year-old wood, and you can tell 1-year-old wood on any species of grapevine simply because the bark does not shed. It's slick and tight. So these are fruitful buds on these canes, and we can make these into supported trunks by simply wrapping like so and making a tie at the end. And that will become our new trunk with our fruitful buds contained therein. So what we've left with on this vine, if you look at it, are several trunks which are all viable in that they're supporting the 1-year-old productive growth. And so you can simply bundle these up, tie them together, and start to form new trunks. Now this may take you a couple years, so don't try to do it all in 1 year, but you can see we've removed quite a bit and made a lot of progress. Let's talk a little bit about the grapevine's physiology as far as the buds go and how they produce grapes for you. So we already talked about the productive wood being slick barked and have that bright brown color. So on that slick wood, you'll notice bud positions at each node. Those buds will give rise to a shoot that will look like this, and on that shoot will be 1 to 2 clusters of grapes, sometimes 3, but it depends on the cultivar. So what you want to do is make sure those buds are supported by whatever trellis you have. And this is a simple high wire trellis. So we've taken the cane right here and simply wrapped it around the fruiting wire. Well, it broke right there. These grapes have not been watered a lot, but that's okay. We can use another one, and this will come up and these shoots will grow and be supported by this wire. And that's where you'll find the fruit, is on the buds that produce the shoot that in turn have the cluster of fruit.